My name is Danny Rubin, and I'm the founder of our company, Rubin. We are based in Virginia Beach, Virginia. This is our boom time here down in Virginia Beach, summertime. And we provide online resources for business communication skills. I'm a former TV reporter for a CBS news outlet, and we take best practices of communication skills, writing and speaking, and we bring them into the classroom, package them up in curriculum form or webinar form to make it easy for you to teach these skills to your students. We work with CTE programs around the country, and we help students communicate for college and career opportunities. And to help you get to know us, I want to share a screen and then offer you a free resource for next year. All right. And then we will get into the topic of the day, which is social media etiquette activities. All right, so let first follow me here. I'm trying to share my screen. Go. All right. I want you to know who we are because it plays into the resources we will be using today. So we are Rubin, and we have three resources. We have a career exploration video library called Aspire, which I will talk about in just a second. We have an email etiquette teaching tool, helping students not write emails like text messages. Teachers, raise your hand if you see that this past year. Emails to you that look like they're texting you. We have a training tool, and we have a broad curriculum called Emerge, which is a library of hundreds of instructional items for writing and speaking for college and career. And some of you here work with us and use these tools. Some of this is new to some of you. What I want to do today is offer free access to our career exploration video library. If you're looking for exploration content, middle school or high school, for the upcoming school year, or even during the summer, if some of you are teaching this summer, I want to explain it very quickly. I don't want to steal away from our topic today, but I do want to offer something that you could make use of now or in the fall. So the resource, as I mentioned, is called Aspire, and it's a library of over 300 videos, all 1 to 2 minutes in length, that touch on various career pathways. If you look down the left side, you'll see what we cover: business management, health science, hospitality and entertainment, law and public safety, manufacturing and trades, marketing, and jobs in STEM and education. And within each bucket, we have jobs where we have interviewed professionals about what they do and the value of communication skills within that job, why you must be a good communicator within that job. I'm showing you our health science jobs as one example. And so if we break it down, like surgical assistant, we have short video clips with a surgical assistant and accompanying sign language to help the students learn about that job. Different clips, 1 to 2 minutes in length, with discussion questions and worksheets and certificates of completion. And can I ask a quick question in the chat, please? What is your learning management system at school? Google Classroom, Canvas, Schoology, Teams? What are you on? Tell me in the chat, and I'll finish this out with that information. A lot of Canvas, 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 Google Classroom, thank you. Schoology. So the reason I ask, this resource, for example, this Aspire resource lives in your LMS, whether it's Canvas, Schoology, Google Classroom, whatever you're on, it lives right in there. This is our listing of all the jobs as a Canvas module. It'd be the same thing in Schoology or Google Classroom. And the content opens right inside of your LMS, no passwords. No passwords, no signing in, no separate links. It's embedded. Very, very easy to access and use. So here's my offer on this webinar live with you. We would love for you to use Aspire, or at least to try it in the summer or the new school year. And we are willing to let you use it for a full academic year for one of your classrooms. One classroom for the year, this upcoming academic year. The way to get it is I'm going to give you a link in the chat. We want you to book a short meeting with our team over the next couple of weeks so we can talk about it and either get it set up for you now or in the new school year. Okay, so I'm going to give you in the chat right now this Calendly. If you would like to even just look at it, and explore it, go to that link, book a short meeting with us. We'll give it to you. And it is our offer to you that you can choose one classroom to have it at no cost for this upcoming academic year. Okay, it's a very broad tool, covers a lot of ground, and we want you to use it. So I'll mention that again at the end, but that's our offer today for you being here live with us during your summer. So please take us up on it if you'd like more exploration content in your new academic year. With that being said, I'm going to move on to our topic of the day, which is social media etiquette. And actually, let me just add one little note I had left alongside of that link, so it just has a further explanation. That's the information for that Calendly link. All right, so we're talking about social media etiquette today, which I know has been a subject of frustration and conversation in classroom for many years. But what we don't want is for students to be like, "Oh, stop telling me what to do with on my Instagram or my TikTok," and we want to make it constructive. So what we're going to talk about today are a couple of things. One is how to discuss the consequences of negative social media posting, and also give students a constructive, productive way to use social media in the new year. And at the end of that, we're going to talk about how to use LinkedIn and portfolios in general, and how to write about ourselves and write to others in very meaningful, authentic ways. All right. So we're going to cover different grounds, social media specifically, and then LinkedIn and portfolio writing on the back end. And we will do that within the hour. Okay. There will not be, Tyra asked a question, there will not be a slide deck, but you'll have this recording. So you can use the screens I show you as your slides. Okay, that's how we'll run it today. All right, so what we're gonna do, I'm gonna go back to my tabs, and we're gonna start with social media and helping students understand the impact of writing something that could hurt them as they pursue opportunities. And let me ask this, let me see some hands up. Do you, when you work with your employer partners and your business partners, do they sometimes check students' social media accounts before they would bring them on as an intern or hire them? Do you ever run into that with your, any hands for that, where you know that employers are looking at students' social media before they would say, we're ready to bring you on? Okay, so I'm getting a lot of that. So they need to understand that, you know, once they write it, right, it's there. And even if you delete it, somebody could have hit a screenshot of it. That's the world we're in. And so let's start off. And what we're doing now, I told you I wanted to set up by showing you our product so you know where we're going here. We're now working out of our Emerge platform, which is a library of employability skill training. And now we're working on understanding the effects of a negative post. And what we do, this is an activity in our platform, and again, I want you to use it off this recording. Okay, so it's like trying to give you activities from the recording that you can share with students when they're back with you. So what we do in this exercise is we have 3 different scenarios, real world situations. These happened, and it's an example of a young person posting something that hurt them on social media. And I'm going to scroll through slowly, and we're going to talk about each one. So the first one's down here. Follow me down here. Connor Riley had a job offer from Cisco on the table. She tweeted, "Cisco just offered me a job. Now I have to weigh the utility of a fatty paycheck against the daily commute to San Jose and hating the work." Now, let me ask you, you can go to the chat. Do you think that Cisco learned about this post? Yes or no? You think they found out? And they probably found out within the same day, right? Within hours. Okay. Now, what do you think happened to that job offer once they saw that post? Catherine said, decline, gone. He lost it, gone, withdrawn. Right. So we're going to go through 2 more of these scenarios and then have a discussion about it. But again, this is a real world situation. And I do want to point out that on and I'll share this again when we're done with this page, but we also have a teacher guide for this exercise, which has links to a story about the situation. So you can show students like this really happened. This wasn't just a fictional situation, like on an exam, they may come up with scenarios. No, this really happened. And so there are consequences to what you post. Let's do another one. A 38-year-old war veteran, James Kennedy, took to Twitter to complain about the low wages Chipotle paid to its crew members following a free food promotion. Chipotle tweets, nothing is free, only cheap labor. Crew members make only $8.50 an hour. How much is that steak bowl really? What do you think happened to James? Do you think Chipotle learned about that? And are you allowed in America to speak freely? Yes, but are you allowed to speak about your employer per your contract, your agreement with that employer? No. And so over here, we said Kennedy later deleted his tweet after a supervisor showed him the company's social media policy, which states that an employee cannot make disparaging or false statements about Chipotle publicly. Following another incident involving his asking for shift breaks, he was let go. So this is an opportunity to say to students, whether you're writing on your own, just personally about someone, about yourself or a brand or even a party you were at, whatever, it impacts you, it reflects on you negatively, but you certainly cannot do it at an employer where you are working or even hope to work, right? You should have known, Catherine said, you should have known company policy. So again, these are real world scenarios just to start making students be aware. Oh, I didn't think about that. You think you're only talking to your friends. You're only messaging your friends. Well, we've seen time and again that tweets and posts, they go way beyond your friend network if they catch fire. And then you're no longer in control of the message. You're never really in control of the message, even though you think you were. Let's do one more. Connie Levitsky was a sales associate at an Edmonton plus-size women's retailer. She wrote, "Conquering the world, one well-dressed fat lady at a time." Obviously, incredibly offensive. And what happened to her? One more time, she had her post removed at manager's request. When she arrived at work on Tuesday, she was told she no longer had a job. So again, it's the company's discretion. And certainly there could be gray area, whether it's justified to be let go from a job or not. The fact is there's no reason to risk your reputation, risk your job, risk a scholarship, risk anything by posting anything that could be construed as negative on social media. It's just not worth it. Or anything that could be viewed as inappropriate. Anything related to alcohol, drugs, inappropriate language. It seems so simple. Why would you do it? But we know it happens all the time. And so the exercise here, and this is where I want to leave a freeze frame because you can do your own scenarios or use ours. Let me actually put it all on one screen for you right here. And if you want to screenshot that or get it later, the scenarios and then the discussion questions for the class. If the negative social media post went viral, what could happen? Let's have them play it out in their mind. Play it out. What could happen if I post this? Where could it go? How far could it spread? How could one negative post affect your future career opportunities? Make them see beyond the moment, right? Because when something goes viral, it takes hours, days, weeks, but it doesn't happen immediately, but it starts to gain momentum and it gets completely out of your hands. And they're not always, all of us, but especially students and young, the kids today, they're not thinking about tomorrow. We understand, we know what consequences are, and they're not. And so this is an exercise in making them react to these and then think about what comes next. Any questions or comments on this? And by the way, there's, many of us here, you are welcome to also share some techniques and strategies that you have used to discuss this type of topic, and we will all benefit from that. This is our company's approach and making it hands-on and interactive. And I'd love to know what you've done too, because we're all trying to tackle this together. So feel free to share your own ideas or your own thoughts or comments. And otherwise, I'm going to move to the next activity, which completely flips it around and gives students a productive way to use social media. And it could be a great way to start this upcoming school year, a good icebreaker or early year activity. So now let's switch over to what our company calls a personal hashtag. Now I'm assuming, I don't want to assume, you can't assume. Hands up if you know what a hashtag is by now. A hashtag, we all good with hashtags? Okay. So hashtags take lots of forms, and that brands use them, schools use them, events use them. But what I want you to think about is helping students create a hashtag for themselves. Now, what do I mean by that? We want students to use social media to promote their achievements in the classroom and outside of the classroom. Use social media to share what you're proud of and save the employer time by directing that person to your best stuff. When you're applying for jobs or internships or scholarships, or even in the business world and you want an opportunity, you have to control the message. How much time, let me ask this question first before we get into this exercise. If an employer is going to hold up a student's resume and there's a stack of resumes for an opportunity, how much time do you think the employer is going to give each student when they skim that resume, either on the computer or in hand? How much time are they going to give it before they decide if they're going to stay on that person or go to the next one? I'm seeing some different, let me see what everybody thinks. I'm seeing 3 seconds, 15 seconds, 3 seconds, less than a minute. And the minute might be generous, but yes, thank you, Rochelle. 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 7. I'm more in the vein of like Linda here. 15 seconds, 20 seconds. Now it's for another conversation, what makes the resume jump off, what makes them keep reading and gluing their eyes to your experience. Well, if time permitting, we can talk about that. But what I want your students' resumes to include is a personal hashtag. That means, and let's say, for example, it's Instagram. The student is going to create a hashtag and apply that hashtag on posts that showcase the student's achievements. And I recommend maybe 3, 4, or 5. That's it. But what happens is that, like in the header, by the contact information, the address, the phone number, say, check me out on my personal hashtag, review my achievements on my personal hashtag. And let me give you an example of what that looks like. And then I want to do a little exercise with you that you could bring back to students. So what we like to do in our curriculum is to talk about what we don't like and what we do like. And what we don't want are, again, unprofessional hashtags. John the party guy, coolest person at school, sports girl 37, like a screen name or something. The students are going to be the class clown about it and make something that's going to hurt them even more. We're trying to give them an activity that's constructive, and they're going to try to turn it around and make it hurt them. So we want something like John Ramirez portfolio, Becca Simon achievements, Emerson Gardner highlights, something that is professional in nature. None of the words would offend or send the employer down the wrong road. Okay. And so the student is going to identify, and this is a class discussion, and they can be coming up with posts during the year. But even if they come off the summer or last school year and they have achievements, they've won an award, their sports team won a championship, they have a photo from an internship. I want to get some ideas from you in a moment. They're going to post those items on their Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or wherever they have their account, wherever they're updating their life. And they're going to post 3, 4, or 5 pieces of content that include this hashtag. So when the employer goes, let me check out their hashtag on Instagram, and they go and they search it, all they're going to see are those 4 posts which highlight the best that the student can showcase at that moment in time. Now, how many other students in that applicant pool are going to have that hashtag that takes the employer to social media to observe their best stuff? Maybe none. Maybe one other, but probably nobody else. And again, it gets back to my original question, which is, we said, how much time are they going to give you on your resume? Said 10 seconds, 6 seconds, 30 seconds. Well, now they're giving you far more than that. And the question from Veronica, it ties to Instagram. It should tie to whatever social media account the student is maintaining. And they can be clear, say, observe my personal hashtag or my achievements on Instagram, hashtag such and such, or Facebook. Tell them which social media platform to go to. And then that hashtag will contain the content. So the student has prepared for the moment by providing content and hoping that the employer sees it. It's one more way to gain an edge in a crowded field. We can't show up like everybody else. The biggest thing that our company wants to impart to you and your students is there is a standard, typical, traditional, classic way to do everything. A resume, a cover letter, an interview, an email, in a second, LinkedIn outreach. There's a standard way to do it. And frankly, if you use AI, they're going to give you the boilerplate standard way that the whole world has done it. But is being standard going to set you apart? What do you think? Yes or no? Is being the same on paper going to set you apart? We have to be different. Not in a way that's inappropriate or loud or obnoxious, but a way that's smarter, a way that cuts through. So suddenly the employer is scrolling around the student's Instagram, which I hope beyond these selected posts would not have anything inappropriate, but we're again showing them this is who I am right now. This is what I've achieved. Good question. Mary Willis asked a question and it just went to the host and panelists. Can the hashtag be read by ATS? Well, I suppose they'd have to be looking for words within that hashtag, so it's hard to say. I don't know how an ATS or an applicant tracking system would handle that hashtag, but the goal here is to, when it gets to human eyes, it is you're being read and they're focusing on you and not the next person. And that's what it's all about. It's winning in that moment. So let me ask you, just to help to get some ideas so we can pass them on to students in the fall or in the summertime. Tell me, what would be a good example of a recent achievement one of your students accomplished that they could put on social media with the hashtag? What are some things that come to mind that your students have recently achieved that would be appropriate for this exercise? FFA awards or HOSA awards, I'd love that, like CTSO, local, state, or national awards, certifications. Thank you, Suzanne. Induction into the National Honor Society. Oh, this is great. I love it. And please copy this out. Copy these ideas out. Put them in a notepad. Get them. Let's make use of this. Let's use every piece of this webinar today. I want to read more of these. Fastest typist in keyboarding. Top 25 students in the senior class. Passing certification, reading certification, volunteering certifications, participating in awards and case competitions, NTHS inductee, FBLA, presentations in class, CTSO winner, valedictorian. Yeah, that should go there. Let's not leave that out. Internships. And make sure when you're commenting, please make sure you don't have hosts and panelists. Make sure it's everyone, okay? Internships, community service. This is great. Great. So the student, don't let them tell you, oh, I don't know what to say, right? I don't know what to say. I have nothing to share. That's never true, but that's people's first answer. I don't know what to share. I don't have anything to share. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Let me ask you this question for those who are here. I know some are on the college level, some are on the K-12 or middle school, high school. Where could you incorporate not only this exercise, but the one we did before, the negative posting or the positive personal hashtag? Where could you do this? Where would it fit into your year or your class or your club? Let's get some ideas in the chat on that too. And while you do that, I'll show you. Here's an example from our company of when we posted about our new email etiquette tool, and I used a hashtag of my name. So if you search that, it comes up. Just so the students can see. A do now, like that. Career exploration section, orientation of any course or program. Great. Any other ideas? I'll wait to see, because again, I want to help you use this, right? Let me keep the screen up for you, right? You can take screenshots or you can just use this later. I want you to use it. Oops, sorry. Got up on me. I want you to use it. I want students to use these. I want them to get ahead. Work-based learning seminars at the beginning of the year. And again, please make sure you're commenting with everyone, not hosts and panelists, so we can all see all of your great ideas. CBI class, Candy says. This is great. Portfolio, Suzanne, thank you. I missed that. So lots of ideas here of where to do it. And again, hopefully it'll help the students to see that social media, there's ways to use it constructively so that we're not always badgering them with don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. I mean, they need to hear that, but there has to be a flip side to that, which is you should use social media as well. We shouldn't be afraid of it. We shouldn't ban it. We shouldn't run away from it. It's a part of life. It's a part of society, and we can use it to our advantage. So let's give them something practical and productive as well. And this is one way. And then as they go through school, as they graduate, as they grow older, they can remove some content that gets old, add a new post with the hashtag, and it can become this living, breathing portfolio that's on their resume or in their email signature or on a portfolio. So people can always be checking them out and seeing what's new without having to spend too much time. It's all about separating yourself. And this is one way to do it. And I think the employer would say, oh, that's a pretty sophisticated way to do it. Pretty clever move by this student. And if they think like that on promoting themselves, they would be a great addition to my team. That's what we want them to think. So, all right, thank you for going through that with me. Any questions about this exercise? If I get it back, the negative or the positive? Any questions about that before we move over to LinkedIn and portfolios? Because it's another part of social media that requires a different skill set. And I want to give you 2 more activities there. Tyra asked average view of resume. Well, it's a little bit of an inexact science, Tyra, but we said the average employer with a stack of resumes is going to give each person about 15 to 20 seconds before they decide to read more or skip. More or skip. That's it. Do I keep going or do I just, next one? And that really should drive every job seeker crazy. If imagine someone's looking at your life, all your hard work, and they're looking at it and they go, nah. If you were right there behind them, it would feel like a punch to the gut, wouldn't it? It would be awful that they looked at you and you know how hard you've worked to get where you are. And they looked at you and they said, but it's not because they don't like you. It's because you didn't give them enough to keep going. And that's just the honest truth. That's the world. And that's what students need to understand is it's not personal, it's business. And it's people's limited time and attention. And that's what we're fighting. Question from Candy, where would students place the hashtag on the resume? I recommend at the top with the contact information, like in that header, you have your name, you have your phone and email, maybe an address, a physical address, right underneath like phone and email. Put it right there. Put it at the top. It's just another piece now to the header information on your resume. That's my recommendation. So they don't miss it. Don't bury it. Put it at the top. It's now another piece of contact information. You're very welcome. All right, so let's go over to LinkedIn. I'm curious, and if you're not doing LinkedIn in school, this is still applicable for portfolios. So don't tune out if you're not on LinkedIn in school. But I am curious, how many of you use or teach LinkedIn at your school or help students to explore it even in some early ways? Any hands up for that? Raise your hand if you are using LinkedIn on any level in school. And okay, separately, how many of you help students to compose portfolios on any platform? Hands up for portfolios. Okay, So what I want you to do, and let me ask you this, even more broadly than that. How many of you help students with elevator pitches? Any yeses for that? Okay. So on any level, what we're going to talk about applies. Helping students speak authentically. And I can't stress this enough. Over this past year, we got blown over by AI, right? We're all fighting it in the schools and figuring out how to use it, how not to use it. What's going to happen in the workforce over the next decade is there's going to be a premium on soft skills and authentic communication. Soft skills and authentic communication, because so many processes and jobs will be automated. What's going to be left is the ability to communicate authentically about yourself and with others. There will be a premium on people who know how to do that. That's why we do what we do, because we help students communicate through an honest, authentic voice. And to help do that in one small way, we help with a profession. I'm sorry, let me get my screen back here. The page is like grayed out. Hold on. We help with what's called a professional headline, which is what LinkedIn calls sort of how your quick little title, how you describe yourself. Okay. How many of you have a LinkedIn profile? Any hands for that? And usually on LinkedIn, it's set. What do people usually put when it says your title or your professional headline? What do most people put in that space? Mary Willis says job title, right? Because that's what the first thing that comes to mind, and that's what everyone else does, right? But if you're an employer and you're scrolling a list of faces and titles, what's going to jump out? It may not be the job title, it might be the company, but the job titles, there's so many job titles. So I want to offer another approach to catch someone's attention and help the student and you start to talk more authentically about who you are and the value that you provide, or as a student, the value you hope to provide. Okay. Now, again, in our program, we're really big on showing sort of what we don't want to see and what we do, so students can model the examples and model the behavior. So a common example for a student would be like rising junior at Red Mill High School. There is nothing wrong with that. It's not offensive. It's not going to go viral for the wrong reasons, right? But it's just this is your year in school and this is where you go to school. There's a lot of that out there. So I want students to think a little differently about who really am I and what am I interested in? So here are some other headlines that would catch someone's attention. Instead of this, interested in the future of web design, passionate about eco-friendly fashion, hope to work in sports management. Those are more interesting. They step out of line from all the job titles, and they help the person immediately understand what the student is passionate or interested in. Even at an early age, you can have some idea of what you like. You don't need to have it all figured out. Lord knows we all change jobs. I'm not looking for final answers here, but we want the student to start to identify, who am I? What's running through me? What gets me excited? And then sharing that on a public forum like LinkedIn to stand apart from everybody else. And even with you, and I'd love to do this with all of you. Let's go to the chat for a second, do a little exercise with me. I want you to think about, as an educator, why do you teach? Can someone articulate for me in the chat? Why do you teach? It's a tough job, one of the toughest in the country. You have my respect for doing what you do every day. And why do you do it? Can you tell me in the chat? Well, it pays the bills, fair. But you know what, Andrea, a lot of jobs would give you a paycheck. So it's more than that. Facilitating the future. I like that. Giving back to our future generation, the aha moments, helping students find their passion. Keep them coming. This is great. Love it. Because what you're doing is developing your own headline, your own who am I? Love of students and desire to help them. I love to learn. I want to share my love of learning with all students, helping others achieve their dreams, motivate and inspire my students to meet their fullest potential, upholding standards and principles that have been lost. Rochelle, amen. That's why we're here too. Passionate about helping students find their future. These are great. And these are pretty close, right, to what I'm showing you here. Pretty close. So think even about yourself and your own LinkedIn, your own portfolio. Could you replace teacher at such and such high school or college with a line that really speaks to more of the depth of the work, the why, the purpose behind the work? You've already articulated it in the chat. Where could you share that? And this is one space to do it for yourself and also help students do it for themselves. Again, it's about breaking away from the pack. This is fine, but do we want fine? Is fine good enough? Tell me in the chat, is fine enough? If you want to get picked, if you want that job, if you want that opportunity, is okay, just okay? It can't be. It's got to be another level up. And what we try to share with you are just different ways of thinking. I mean, the time it would take to create this, we're not asking for a 10-page report, double space, da da da. We're asking about thinking about these classic situations in fresh ways, in more authentic ways. That's right, Fahim. Enough is not enough. We want to be exceptional. We want our students to be exceptional, and they are in many ways. But too often when we write about ourselves, it falls flat because we don't know how to use our words to elevate our abilities and our potential. Okay, so this is one idea for LinkedIn portfolios and also as the foundation of an elevator pitch. Who really are you? What do you stand for? What do you believe in? What are you passionate about? That is what we're after. And from that comes the rest of that elevator pitch. Okay. Because what we don't want is to say, I'm talented, I'm driven, I'm dedicated. I've said this in many, many webinars. If you've been here before, you've heard me say it. Adjectives, a dime a dozen. And nobody really cares or believes when you say you're a driven, dedicated, talented, natural born leader. It just doesn't stick. What matters is the stuff you've written to me in the chat here. This is the real stuff. This is the human connection. And in none of these did I see a whole lot of adjectives. It was really meaningful thoughts. And that's what connects, and that's what wins the day. Yes. Thank you, Diane. Building an extraordinary future through students' successful work-based learning. Great. All right. Now, let's go to one more, and then we'll start to head for home. I'll let you go a few minutes early. Still count you for the full hour, though, I promise. But I'll give you some of your summer back. Now, let's talk about communicating with other people on LinkedIn. How many of you have ever sent someone a connection request on LinkedIn? Have you done that before? Where you say, I want to connect with you. Now, what's amazing to me, LinkedIn has 500 million members, maybe more. And when you try to write somebody or to connect with somebody, it says you should consider adding a note. Have you seen that before? It says you should add a note. But do they show you an idea for a note? Do they give you an example of a note? No, they just say, write a note. It's crazy to me. As if the whole world just understands a little, Veronica, what I mean is when you send a LinkedIn connection, it says, you're asking to connect with somebody. Do you want to add a little message with that connection request? Which is a good idea, but they don't tell you what to say or any best practices. That's what we do. So let's talk about a great note that would elicit a response. Because why are you even connecting with somebody if you don't want to talk to them or get to know them? How many of you have gotten a LinkedIn connection request from somebody you don't know, and because you don't know them and there's no note, What do? Do you immediately say, yes, let's be connected, let's be connection? Janet said, ignore, 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 get away from me. You're spam. You're dangerous. I don't know you. I don't know you. Leave me alone. Right? I don't know them. But you add that note, things change. Let's talk about that. All right. Once again, we talk about what's traditional, the bare minimum, perhaps, and then what's special. Okay. That's correct, Deborah. You avoid them because you don't know them. So this is not enough. This is the like default from LinkedIn. This is not enough if you wrote that. Let's look at some differences. It was great to meet you at the Student Leadership National Conference. I'm connecting on LinkedIn so we can stay in touch. I enjoyed your podcast interview about how to not become anxious as you apply to colleges. I hope we can connect on LinkedIn. Or you can even ask a question to get the conversation going. I took a lot from your presentation today during our site visit to Acme Labs. How do you recommend I get started in research as a high school student? Let's break these down. There's strategy in all of them. Look at the first one. There's a proper noun. Well, there's two, but ignore this one. But there's a proper noun in this message. What is it? What did I name specifically in this post, in this message to create trust, to create a sense of we share something in common. Thank you, Tyra. But Tyra, notice, I didn't just say conference. What did I do? I went beyond that. I said the exact name of that conference. The more words I use that the other person also knows and recognizes, the faster they're going to trust me. We met at the Student Leadership National Conference. Well, of course I'm going to connect with you. We were just at the same place. Right? Now, again, the same person could have sent that connection with this, and the person would ignore it. All you got to do is write this, and it's accepted. Right? That's it. That's the only change, because this is real. I enjoyed your podcast. People love nothing more. I listened to your podcast. I heard you speak. I read your book. All you got to do, it's like Jerry Maguire. You had me at hello. Who's seen that movie? You had me at hello. All they got to do is, I enjoyed your podcast. Oop, I love this person. Yep, they like my podcast. I love them. Sure, let's connect. Because it's an ego boost, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's how the world spins. Or I was at, thank you, Veronica. Who doesn't love Jerry Maguire? I took a lot from your presentation. Like, I was at your company, and I have a follow-up question. Now, you're pretty hard-hearted, cold-hearted employer to see that and be like, I don't want to talk to this student. They like my company and have a question about it. Get away from me. Pretty rare. Pretty rare. And in the flow of this conversation, they start talking. Maybe there's an internship. But I promise you, pretty low chance if this is all they get. So the activity, again, I'll leave it right here again. Help the students identify, okay, you just met with someone or you just met someone. What could you write to make them trust you and want to write you back? Or want to accept it and reply back? Okay? Whatever the circumstances are, however you came across them, it's about, these are soft skills. Do we all understand what I mean when I say what you're looking at right here? Soft skills are often very hard to teach. They float in the air. You know it when you see it, right? I'm telling you right now, writing this is a soft skill. Can I see some Zoom hands if you understand what I'm talking about? This is a soft skill. This is a soft skill. Yes, and Mary Beth, thank you for that question. Phenomenal addition to this conversation. Absolutely mention people you know in common. Absolutely. You and I both know so-and-so. So-and-so suggested I reach out to you. This is how the world works, how the game is played. You have to leverage people that you know that the other person knows because we have our defenses up all day. We're wary of spam and bots and getting hacked, and we push it all away because we're scared of what's out there. And that's legit. So you have to use all the available information to generate trust immediately, or you will be eliminated and erased and removed from that person's life so fast. But on the flip side, you name drop somebody or you say a conference and you're right, you're in just as fast. So these are critical skills to share with students before they leave your classroom, before they leave your school. These skills matter, and they're going to matter even more every day going forward. In our new AI era, these skills will matter 10 times more than they already do, which is a lot. Because I'm sure, let me ask one more question here. How many of you receive feedback from your employer partners that say we need more soft skill training from these students? Do you hear that from your employer partners? We need more. So it's already happening, and they're only going to need it more. So these types of activities are critical. And I want to stress one more thing about it. Do it more than once. Do this every month. Do this every quarter. Do this all the time. Make them practice these skills constantly. Get it into a habit. Get it into habit. Because you don't learn something one time. If they do it in this, the second time in a new class, so what? So what? It's okay. Sometimes it's okay to do the same thing twice because they gotta say, oh, what I'm connecting on LinkedIn. I gotta leave a note. I gotta leave a note. I gotta leave a note. Make it like boom, boom. It's got to be like automatic in their head. And one time won't get it. It'll just shoot on by. Okay. Any questions about this? That's great, Deborah. Public speaking every week, also great. It's like anything else. Soft skills, it's like learning a language, playing an instrument, playing a sport. You got to do it a lot. You got to do it a lot. But all of this is to help them advance themselves, get jobs, make money. So it's all generally, we hope students find it useful because it's stuff they're going to have to do anyway. And things are going to look back and say, so that teacher, he taught me how to do that. And I still use that. To me, that's like the ultimate. If they still think about you 10 years later, I learned that in that class. That's it. That's what it's all for. So as we wrap up, please ask any questions. Okay. And I want to make mention, let me share the screen one more time, of what I mentioned to you at the very beginning, all right, which the offer still stands while we're together, all right. I would love for you to use our career exploration video platform where we ask these professionals, why are communication skills critical in your job? I had a 22-year-old esthetician last month tell me I have to be a good writer or it hurts my business. She's 22. She's not 50, 60, another generation. No, she's 22 and writing skills matter. I had a 30-year-old Hollywood film producer tell me, if you send me a bad email and you want to intern with me, I'm not opening it. And he's 30. So the rules still apply. And so if you would like, again, access to that library, here it is one more time. And I see a question. Yes, this recording will go on YouTube, Vanessa. Okay, we'll email it out and it'll go on YouTube. So you'll see it tomorrow. And again, if you'd like access to our Aspire library to use in your classroom next year, get it right now. Book time with us. Thank you. And we'll get it to you. And you can also share it with your team. Because not only will you expose students to new jobs across different pathways, but we'll continue to hit on the soft skills every single time. They show up in every job. every single job, healthcare, sports, the trades. We spoke to an auto mechanic who oversees mechanics in his shop. How they write is critical. They're writing up notes about the car. I mean, every job, writing and speaking is paramount. It's not just for the English majors. It's just the stuff of life day in and day out. And so it's our offer to you for being here. Also, we will have 2 more webinars coming up. We have one next week and one in July. Next week, we're talking about the most popular employability activities that teachers use from our platform over the past year. Over 1 million minutes logged by students this past year. And we'll tell you what teachers were doing the most from our library of all kinds of email skills, phone skills, life skills. We'll tell you, and we'll give it out. And then we're also going to talk about connecting a career exploration content with an interest inventory and how to bring that in at the middle school or high school level. And that'll be in July. And then just looking ahead, for those of you who are new to us, in the fall, we do what's called our Dream Job webinar series, where we talk with professionals in different fields for like longer conversations. They're not bite-sized yet. They're like longer, but they're open to the CTE community. And we do one every other week. And you'll see emails about that. We'd love for you to come with your class, with your school, join us for those live Q&As with professionals. And that's what you can expect from us over the semesters. Does anybody have any questions right now about anything? And for those of you who asked for the Aspire platform, we'll be in touch at the time you select it, and we'll give that to you. Any other questions right now? I appreciate your time today. I hope you found this useful. And like I said, the recording will be out there, and you can use it to teach from and draw from those screenshots. Let me give out one more time our YouTube channel. You will find all of our past webinars on our YouTube channel. Second, just getting there. On our YouTube channel, who asked that question? Mary Beth, no. Stephanie. Great. Oh, the future ones, Stephanie, we haven't made the schedule yet, but we're going to put a big email out about it. And then we put the list on the schedule on our website. So not just yet. We'll have the schedule in August, and we'll start up again after Labor Day. And we do usually twice a month. And so look out for those. We have a lot of cool jobs coming down the way this fall to talk to. Thank you all so much. Appreciate your time. I hope I'll see all of you next week. And also, we will send you a certificate for being here via email either this afternoon or tomorrow, but as soon as possible. You'll get a certificate to show you were here and get your hour. All right, so look out for that in your email. If you don't get it, contact us. We'll make sure you have it.